happy to say that I revisited something that I think I talked about either earlier this season or maybe even as far back as last season. And it was a little documentary called In Search of Darkness 2. I can't explain how much I love this documentary, even the bad parts of it, which are some of the films. But it is a documentary on 80s horror alone. They pick about 5 movies from each decade. They bring
each decade or each year?
I'm sorry.
Each year.
I mean, each year of that decade is what I meant. You're right.
Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No worries. You know, I watched the first one. It's 4.5 hours long. I'm like, how can they do another one? Well, it's 4.5 hours long too. They've got a format, not unlike ourselves, where they tackle the project by the decade and they do it year by year. And they usually pick, I don't know, anywhere from 4 to 5 films maybe. And then in between each year, they do like an interview with Nancy Allen or, you know, somebody that was relevant at the time in a lot of 80s horror movies. Okay. Barbara Crampton or whoever. So that makes it interesting too. They probably picked more of the stellar films in the first. So now they're starting to go into more of the cheesy stuff or the stuff that you saw on a shelf in a video store.
Oh, yeah.
And because of the lurid cover that, you know, just drew you in and then was truly
Toolbox
terrible.
Massacre or, you know, Cheerleader High or
Inhumanoid, you know, the titles like that. Yes, exactly. That is what this movie is all about. As you can see from the picture behind me, there's lots of things from familiar films. It's even got a little picture of Ronald Reagan in there.
Yeah, of course. He's scary, terrifying.
I highly recommend it. If you are of our age and remember those video stores and how you could be seduced by the covers of what ended up being not always the greatest film in the world, this goes back and pays tribute to them and their makers and their cast. And as I said before, I didn't think they could do a sequel to it because the original was 4.5 hours long. This one's 4.5 hours long. Well, guess what? There's a Kickstarter right now, and the third one is being made, and I assume it will be 4.5 hours long too, because there's a lot to choose from.
Well, yeah. 80s was a huge resurgence of films in general, but especially genre. Horror, science fiction, you know.
And any of you guys out there that are interested, it is on Shudder. A lot of these documentaries I've talked about this season are on Shudder.
You can't start the car. Johnny has the keys.